Hey guys, and welcome to the 2017 Audi Q7 E-Tron. So the Q7 E-Tron is the plug-in hybrid choice in the Q7 range, and unlike other plug-in hybrids in this class like the X5 40e or the Volvo XC90 T8, this is quite different. So the electric motor in this car is not hooked up to a gasoline engine like in those other hybrids, but this is mated to a 3-liter V6 TDI diesel engine, which makes this one of a kind actually in this class, and quite a rare hybrid combination. So the Q7 is a car that a lot of auto journalists, a lot of motor journalists have given high praise, and that is for a good reason, because this is a very, very good car. If I'm to be quite honest, right off the bat, just to get this out of the way, I think technically this is a better driving car than the XC90. But would I pick this over an XC90? Well, that is a different story. Because even though this car does actually ride a bit better than an XC90, it might even also handle a bit better in dynamic mode, and this is the most silenced, the most cocooned, the quietest riding car in this class. This is a little unfair comparison because this is currently riding on studless winter tires. My XC90 is currently equipped with studded tires, which makes a lot more noise, but I've driven the XC90 that much to still give this a fair comparison in my opinion, and that is that this is a quieter car. It's about 10% quieter. It's like from a class above, and that is a real achievement, because if you drive an XC90, an X5, or an GLE back to back, those cars are about similar, you know, in cabin noise, but this car is just really refined. It's really quiet, very little road noise, and that 3-liter V6 diesel, I wish it was a bit louder because it's really nice sounding, but it also is really hushed. And that's also helped with this plug-in hybrid drivetrain, because as we, you know, lift off from a standstill, you can't hear anything. It's pure electric now. So that gives it even an advantage over something like a diesel-powered X5 or an XC90 or a GLE. Comparing, you know, different types of drivetrains might not actually be fair. Because in your market, at least, the plug-in hybrid models might be the most expensive of those. But here in Norway, we have a different kind of taxation system on expensive cars, which actually makes this cheapest in the Q7 range. So I'm telling you guys that this car is better both in the handling department and the ride department compared to an XC90 on similar equipped wheels, because this is equipped with 20 inches and my XC90 has also been equipped with 20s. I can't say that the handling is not very different, because the XC90, though not as sharp on the twisties as this might be, does have better body control in my opinion, and not only better body control in dynamic mode, but better body control in comfort mode. Where this car is more like floaty and boaty in comfort, the XC90 manages to be both comfortable but very pinned down. This is, you know, just a bit more comfortable. It seems like this car just has a little more bushing in its suspension, just masking, you know, sharp and short bumps just a bit better than in the XC90. On those 3 points, both quietness and comfort and handling, this car is better than an XC90, and I am admitting that. But this car's downfall, and it is a really pity, because in the mid-90s, Audi rose to popularity as a luxury brand because of its interior design and quality, and also its exterior design. I'm not the only one saying this as of late, but Audi seem to be phoning their exterior designs and interior designs, because this is a very well built cabin. I mean, materials are high quality, even though there are some touch points low in the cabin, like on the transmission tunnel here and on the insides of the door pockets, which on the XC90 are carpet or soft plastics. On this car are actually hard plastics. Hear that? Hard plastics, hard plastics, hard plastics. On the XC90, these touch points are either carpet or really soft touch plastics. Both Mercedes-Benz and Volvo today have surpassed Volvo in interior quality, in my opinion. And I'm not alone. Jeremy Clarkson said it himself. The XC90 has the nicest interior this side of a Rolls-Royce, and you can't argue with that, because the XC90 interior is a class above this, both in design and in quality. Quality-wise, it's, you know, second to Mercedes and second to Volvo, which is not a bad place to be, but Audi used to be #1. And where they also used to be #1 was in interior design. And again, Mercedes and Volvo are up at the top battling of which are making the nicest interiors. Mercedes have more models out with the new designs, you know, S-Class, S-Class Coupes, E-Class, C-Class, GLC, so forth. And Volvo only have the V90, S90, the V90 Cross Country, and the XC90 with the new interior design. But they're really battling up in the top there of who's got the best interior qualities. And, well, who's winning right now? Mercedes, because they have more cars with new interior designs, but I think Volvo are trailing them just by millimeters, which is really impressive. So that's why this cabin is a little bit disappointing, because we all know that Audi can do better. They did better than the competition for almost 20 years, and now they're lagging. It's nicely built. It's nice, not as nicely built as Mercedes and as Mercedes and Volvo interiors, and the design is not as either original or as nice. It's a bit boring, in my opinion. Even the X5 has a more exciting, a more nicely designed interior. But it is nice, and it does feel good. So, kudos to that. But one thing that Audi does better than the competition, because they still do something better, some things better than the competition, and that is the virtual cockpit, which is second to none. It's so, the screen has such high resolution, it's so sharp, so vivid colors. It's just a beauty to behold. And tons of customization, tons of information. And I've said this before, but Volvo, give us a software update, because your virtual cockpit, your virtual cockpit can be as nice as this if you guys just put the effort in. So I was telling you guys that, you know, interior quality and interior design is, at least interior design is a letdown in this car. Interior quality, okay, this may be only like trailing by a bit, but it's still trailing. But interior design is boring, in my opinion. And when you're paying this much for a car, you know, this is the top tier SUV class. I mean, you've only got a few cars above this, in the class above this, and that is the Mercedes GLS and the Big Daddy Range Rover. But people do crush up these, because this is, at least in all other engine configurations, this is a 7-seater. Here is a 5-seater because of the battery pack behind in the trunk. One of the big critiques of this car when it did come out was exterior design. And I still hold that true because I do think it's a little boring, uninspiring, and it does look like a big station wagon at times. People buy SUVs because they want the boxy, the tall, the high commanding seating position. And in this car you don't get that unless you do get it with air suspension, which this car is equipped with, and you do put it in all-road mode, which I do have on the Drive Select here, which does give you that commanding view. But I'm still not sitting as high as I would like in XC90, and definitely not sitting as high as you would in a Range Rover Sport or in a Range Rover. So, you know, they don't do magic at Audi. They're very good at engineering, but they don't do magic. So the way they do give you better ride and handling is to lower the car. But how would you get even better ride and handling than this? Well, you get a station wagon, which is low to the ground. So the XC90 doesn't ride as good, doesn't handle as good by a small margin, but you do sit a bit higher, so that's the compromise. And also, a big Range Rover won't ride as good as this, and definitely not handle as good as this, but you're sitting even a bit higher there, and you have bigger wheels. So engineers today, they're very good, but they can't, you know, they don't do magic, so that is the compromise. But as you guys can see, the magic here done by the engineers, because they do have some tricks, is interior noise. So now we're doing 60 on the freeway, and it is really quiet. This car is equipped with 20s, which are 255 wide, studless winter tires. If you want a big, you know, statement SUV, which a lot of people do, that's the reason why people like this car, is because you do sit high and you have this commanding view. And who's to blame them? Because when you go SUV, it's hard to go back. But if you want that, you know, that classic SUV look, you're better off with an XC90, even a Mercedes GLE or a Range Rover Sport, because this car does not look the part, and in many circumstances you will be disappointed. But it does drive well, and that's this car's really strong suit, is that if you want a car that has the capabilities, because if you get this car with air suspension, you can lift it up, you get the ground clearance, and you get that also, you know, you don't get as high of a commanding view as in an XC90 or a Range Rover, but you do sit high. This is a good compromise because it does ride really well, it does handle really well on air suspension. I keep repeating that because you have to get the air suspension when you get this type of car. And it is really quiet. As a highway cruiser, this is probably the best car in this class. Lastly, I want to talk about what I've not been talking about a lot, and that is the drivetrain. This is a powerful car, 373 horsepower. It doesn't feel as quick as that, unfortunately. I don't know why, because it has a diesel engine, which gives it a bunch of torque. It has an electric motor, which gives it a bunch of torque, but it just doesn't feel. It might be because it's so refined and so quiet that, you know, you don't get the sensation of sound and speed. But it is a quick car, and it's a really refined powertrain. And if you go in electric mode only, Audi claim 55 kilometers, which is about 35 miles. Real world, 30 in the summer, 30 kilometers, 20 miles. Or at winter time like now, you're lucky to get 20 kilometers or 12 miles, which is a bit disappointing. You know, depending on your commute, would you get this, would you not get this? In Norway, this is a no-brainer because this is the cheapest model. What do I think of the Q7, all in all? It is a great car. It is a really, really good car. From a technical point, it's, you know, probably the best driving in this class. It's the best handling, the best riding, and it is the quietest. And with this E-Tron drivetrain, it is probably the most refined also, this side of a Tesla Model X, because it is really quiet. The diesel engine is really refined. does make nice sounds when you do push it. And the electric drivetrain, well, electric drivetrains are always smooth, really quiet. All in all, it is technically the best car in this class, I would say. But do we buy cars on merits alone? Well, I don't. It does leave you cold. You know, it doesn't evoke emotions like an XC90 or something like a Range Rover. And that is a pity, because Audi had a real chance to make it, you know, the best choice. So in my opinion, it's the best car, but it's not the best choice. I would still go for an XC90 because interior design, interior quality, exterior design, the way the XC90 makes you feel day in, day out is better. On that bombshell, that is my opinion on the 2017 Audi Q7 E-Tron. If you did like this review, please give it a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.